Hey everyone, it's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. Today's Tuesday, June 13th. Hope you're doing well. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down all of the active crypto lawsuits that are ongoing at the moment in the space. There's a lot of information, a lot to wrap your head around, and a lot of, just a lot of moving parts right now in the space. And I'll try my best to break it down for everybody as simple and as quickly as I can. I'll give my thoughts and opinions, and then I'll also give some tips and tricks and, some pointers, some potential ideas of what we can do to help push back against this government overreach and this war on crypto. But before we get to it, though, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, click the bell, you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Getting very close to that 500,000 view mark. So again, I want to express my gratitude and thank everybody for the support along the way. That definitely wasn't easy. I really do appreciate it very much from the bottom of my heart. But moving on here, this is no stranger to the crypto space. Everybody is familiar at this point with the fact that Ripple is fighting the SEC. It's been almost 3 years now that this court battle has been going on, where they charged Ripple and two executives with conducting $1.3 billion of unregistered securities. Today also marked the day that the Hinman emails got released. So those were unsealed, and it was basically a nothing burger to the XRP army, right? Because as XRP enthusiasts and Ripple enthusiasts, we've been tracking this for a couple of years now, while the rest of the crypto space has been, just kind of burying their head in the sands, not really listening to us, thinking that it was just Ripple and XRP that was the security. This wasn't a war on crypto. This was just a Ripple and XRP thing. We had like BlockFi and Dragon Chain and all these other things. But people are finally starting to understand now the corruption and the collusion that is potentially ongoing right now at the SEC. And here at the outset, I'll let everybody know I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me here as we get through this. Hopefully we'll be back to normal here in a couple of days. But essentially, the Hinman emails today showed that other SEC officials encouraged him to say in the speech that Ethereum wasn't a security. So if it was just his opinion, why were other SEC officials saying that? And it just goes to show that, and they were creating a fake test, right? This isn't something that, Congress makes the laws. It's not the SEC or these bureaucrats, unelected bureaucrats that make the law, right? And Hinman, they called it, the Hinman test, and basically saying that, he made up all these different, metrics of what makes a security and what makes it a non-security, right? And he said that Ether was a non-security based on these factors, right? And this was this made-up test that he so crafted and made up this law on his own, right? So it's starting to shed light on the space and this corrupt organization, and we know he got 15 million reasons. He was getting paid $15 million as part of the Ethereum alliance, right? So, and a member in that. And again, it goes to show that they were favoring one, they were picking winners and losers. They weren't letting the free market decide, right? And we could see in any day now, any week, any month, we could see a verdict in this case. I do think that the SEC is going to lose. We may see a small fine with, Ripple paying a small fine for the early sales of XRP. And then this could even ultimately end up at the Supreme Court, right? We know that the Howey test, the Reeves test, ended up at the Supreme Court, and that's where either through case law or through Congress making laws is where we have these case laws or these laws that are crafted either by Congress, but it can't be the SEC, right? It's not going to be the CFTC. They can enforce the law, but they can't make the law. So moving on, that's the number one. Obviously, all eyes right now on that case with the SEC, but also everybody knows world's biggest exchange, Binance, has been hit with a lawsuit again as well from the SEC. They were hit with one from the CFTC here as well. Back on March 27, CFTC charges Binance and its founder, Changpeng Zhao, with willful evasion of federal law and operating an illegal digital asset derivatives exchange. And then subsequent to that, we had SEC files 13 charges against Binance entities and founder CZ. And, Jeremy Hogan, a legal analyst in the space. We had, Johnny Deaton, who said the same thing, that they're coming after all exchanges, right? The on-ramps, the inflows, outflows, that's what they're going to go after, right? Because they're competing against the banks, and they're eating into these, especially with, lending and things like that. They're able to, basically give interest and the banks don't like that, right? The central monopolist, as Goldman Gensler would say. But obviously, they went after Binance. They went after Coinbase. That was another lawsuit that came out. Coinbase is the latest target of the SEC's crypto crackdown, how U.S. investors may be affected. So again, we were told a couple of years ago from John Deaton that this was probably going to happen. Even Jeremy Hogan said that there was a good chance that they were going to go after the exchanges, and gave a danger rating essentially for all these different these different tokens, and they're alleging that so many tokens right now are securities, right? And also Grayscale, it's fighting the SEC, and it could clear the way for anybody to speculate on Bitcoin. So essentially, Grayscale is seeking to get approval to convert its Bitcoin trust, into an ETF, an exchange-traded fund, which just means anybody, with a bank account or a traditional investing and, stock account, essentially, you'll just be able to go on your Ameritrade or your Questrade or whatever it is, and you can just buy a Bitcoin ETF, right? We have one here in Canada, and that's, you can buy it within a registered account as well, a retirement account. And, this is just, it goes to show you that the whole industry is coming together. This is a war on crypto. This is not one company. This isn't an exchange issue. This isn't a token issue. This is the whole industry is getting cracked down upon, and that is because of this overreach, and they're trying to slow it down, right? We know that Goldman Gary, he used to work for Goldman Sachs, and he is doing the work of the incumbents, right? He's put in there to basically slow the industry down so that the incumbents, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Morgan Stanleys can get caught up, and then they can offer custody services, right? BlackRock getting into crypto as well. So the writing's on the wall. Watch what they do, not what they say. And Grayscale ramping up, I think they have a good chance of beating the SEC. So now's the time where we all need to lock arms and fight this overreach. And also, SEC charges crypto asset trading platform Bittrex and its former CEO of operating an unregistered exchange broker and clearing agency. So Bittrex was pretty much on the way out anyway. This wasn't a huge. I used them way back in the day, but again, more exchanges getting hit. Right, that one's pretty much a done deal. Also, Custodia Bank is taking on the Fed. So here's everything you need to know. But essentially, there's a lawsuit going on right now. There were some hypocritical statements and decisions done on behalf of the Fed. You can read into that if you want to learn more, but in an effort of time, I'm going to move on. But it goes to show you that, again, it's not just the SEC, it's not just the CFTC, it's now the Fed as well. And this is a U.S. government overreach, right? And so many other countries, Hong Kong even invited Coinbase to potentially list there with all this SEC scrutiny. And the laws just aren't clear. And with the Hinman emails coming out today, it's very, very clear that it's not clear, right? So it's a shame that we have to deal with this corrupt agency, specifically the SEC, but just the lack of movement from the United States. I mean, it's usually the case. It's the same thing with MJ, and we're going through all that right now, where Canada is almost 5 years legal at a recreational level, but the U.S. is still lagging behind, and it's usually that the United States is never first, but they're never last, and they'll usually leapfrog whoever, and anyone and everyone once they finally, commit to something. So I'm waiting for that day, and we've got some exciting new legislation proposals here coming, and I'll share with you here in a moment. But New York Attorney General sues KuCoin, claims Ethereum is a security. So if any coin out there is a security, it's probably Ethereum. So let this be a warning that they're coming for everything. Ethereum's probably on the list next as a target. They're saying that Cardano, right? Robinhood's delisting Cardano and a bunch of other tokens. So KuCoin was named in a lawsuit. Also, SEC labels Algorand and 5 other tokens in securities and against Bittrex. So again, we're seeing more and more examples of this. And then if you just go to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and crypto assets and cyber enforcement actions, you can see here the list. This is all for the digital asset space. Look at all these lawsuits, right? And it just goes on and on and on. And it just goes to show you that this is what our tax dollars are funding, right? This ludicrous. And this is literally the third version of the internet. It's Web3, and this is an industry that is, the train has left the station. There's no stopping it. They can try to slow it down, which they're doing as best they can. But I think all of these lawsuits that they're bringing out is going to be the last ditch effort before we see some massive changes come from Congress, whether it be full blown laws and regulations. Maybe in 2025, I would say it's probably going to be 2025. I would say case law is probably going to get us to where we need to be in the interim, but it's probably going to be at least a couple years before we see any actual laws coming from Congress, right? So I think right now the best case is for Ripple to win this and then for the rest of the industry to fight and lock arms, right? Coinbase and Binance and Ripple, Grayscale, all of us to work against this government overreach and do our best to reach out to our elected officials as well. And we'll remember if the Democrats keep this up, right? I'm not in the U.S. and I'm not getting political, but all I'm saying is, it doesn't matter to me. I can't even voice an opinion because I'm Canadian. But all I can say is that people who are in the U.S. are not going to forget this, right? Also, SEC charges Samuel Bankman-Fried with defrauding investors in crypto asset trading platform FTX, but they met with them, didn't call out this scam and this Ponzi scheme for what it was. They were meeting with them and actually crafting laws that could help FTX, and it just goes to show that the SEC, they're picking winners and losers. They're working with the fraudsters, and they're penalizing the good actors in the space, right? And they're unfaithful. And like the judge in the Ripple case said, they have no faithful allegiance to the law, right? It's just a bad faith enforcement regulator, which is just absolutely absurd. They're playing the gotcha game versus setting clear guidelines and rules for the road, right? And it's just despicable. SEC charges Terraform and CEO Do Kwon with defrauding investors in crypto schemes, and then Do Kwon also forged a passport. So just not good, right? This is terrible. So this is all this is going on simultaneously. And also SEC charges crypto entrepreneur Justin Sun and his companies for fraud and other securities laws violations. And those are just the ones that are ongoing. And then obviously Library lost its fight with the SEC in its case battle and court battle. And, they bankrupt Library. They bankrupt Library. They said they would have bankrupt Tesla as well, the SEC, if Elon Musk didn't bend the knee, essentially. And as we know, Elon Musk has no respect at all for the SEC, right? So why is it that everybody hates the SEC? It's because they're a corrupt scumbag regulator, right? An agency. And Library was bankrupt by the SEC, and the LBC token continues to trade, right? And it's even been said that secondary markets and sales of that token, like clearly Library went away and the token still trades freely, right? So clearly it's not a security. Security of what? Library's gone. So what's it a security of, right? There's no governing rights. Same with Ripple. If Ripple goes away, the company, the centralized company, right? They have private equity shares they can buy and link to. If that company goes away, XRP continues to trade. XRP was created before Ripple, the company. Ripple's the digital asset on the XRP ledger, native to that ledger. And Ripple is a company that's centralized. XRP is a virtual currency that's decentralized and it's an open source software, right? So again, if Ripple goes away, XRP continues to trade. Also, Kraken settled with the SEC. So less of this would be better, in my opinion. We need people to step up and fight and not just give in to the SEC because it's, the easy thing to do. We need guts. We need people with resources. Money, obviously going to be a big thing. Ripple spending over $200 million potentially fighting this scumbag regulator and agency, and it's just despicable. It really is. It just makes me sick to my stomach that this is the state of the lay of the land here and the state of affairs, that we just have to deal with all this corruption, right? And this is just what we know, right? Imagine what's going on behind the scenes that we haven't even been privy to and that we probably will never know. But big shout out to Warren Davidson here. Obviously making strides here and making waves across the political spectrum and the cryptosphere as well. Right now, Warren Davidson is on a mission to oust Gary Goldman Gensler. And right here, U.S. capital markets must be protected from tyrannical chairmen, including the current one. That's why I'm introducing legislation to fix the ongoing abuse of power and ensure protection that is in the best interest of the market for years to come. So I would encourage you to go give Warren Davidson a follow, retweet this, like it, comment on it. Do it for all his posts as well. And this is the Stabilization Act, SEC Stabilization Act that he's introducing. You can see here that it's a pyramid structure, right? Where the person at the top, whereas they're looking to do an inverse pyramid, right? Where they have, a series of commissioners right now, and then they report to the SEC chair, Gary Scumbag Gensler. And then the new structure would be an executive director, and then that would be beneath the commissioners, and then you'd have 3 Republicans, 3 Democrat. So again, I think this is, great to see this happening, and a lot of things in the political world is about, just word of mouth and things getting around and image and optics, and this doesn't look good. So the fact that this, this may not get passed, I'm optimistic, but the fact that the him and emails came out today shows the corruption at the SEC. It's rotten to its core. This, in my opinion, should go through. Whether or not it will, that's a different story. Anybody's, it's anybody's guess. But yeah, the fact that this is coming out. But the best thing we can do is reach out to our elected officials, share this, like it, pass it around, retweet it, share it with all your friends and family, create content, do whatever you got to do, tweet every day, hashtag fire Gary, whatever you got to do. Just do whatever possible, whatever, means that we can help Warren Davidson, we can help these elected officials and these unelected bureaucrats who are just power hungry, right? These people work for us, and we, the people, pay their salaries. And this is where our tax dollars are going to, right? This insane government overreach. And it should infuriate each and every one of you. But yeah, it definitely infuriates me. And I'm not even in the US, but obviously my investments and my family's future and my well-being and the SEC is supposed to protect investors, number one, and they're harming investors. They're not just harming their American citizens, they're harming everybody else around the world. But the great thing about XRP and the crypto space is it's a borderless global asset class, and they might be able to slow it down, but they're never going to stop it. The question is, where is crypto going to thrive, right? It's not, if crypto is going to thrive, it's what jurisdictions is it going to thrive in. But I'm going to end it there. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. We'll continue the conversation there. It's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. And like I said, let's step out against this government overreach and make sure we get our voices heard. And let's fight back. Let's continue the fight. Don't let off. We can see the finish line. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and we're almost there. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next video.